Well, all these weeks of Pete Prisco's power rankings, and this is what it looks like at the end. The Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl champs. The 49ers lost the Super Bowl. They go number 2. And then after that is where you start maybe being a little nitpicky.
Hold on. Did the Texans beat the Bills?
Yeah, I don't think they're better, though.
Well, I mean, the Titans.
It wasn't overtime.
The Titans beat the Ravens, and the Titans aren't even in the top 10.
Are the Titans better than Ravens?
They were that day.
Yeah, they were that day. It's not about one day. It's about where you are.
It's about where you are? What does that even mean?
You spent all season picking them apart. Go ahead. Let's end it with a. Go ahead. I know you.
It's pretty easy to talk about 1 and 2 based on Kansas City and San Francisco. That's the easy part. As you work your way down, Green Bay, I believe you had them at 3, New Orleans at 5. I mean, look, clearly, I think we'd agree on this. The NFC had more competition. There's more parity, especially as far as some of the top-end teams. And I think as we spin and kind of take the conversation in 2020 and this season, it's going to be harder, I think, for San Francisco to remain at the top and be able to make another run at it. I think the Saints are the team that if Drew Brees is back, to me, if just they get a little bit of that luck, a little bit of the ball bouncing their way, they're going to be back having a shot at getting into the Super Bowl, getting to another NFC championship,
Packers.
in my opinion.
I was going to say, I think Pete's going to pick the Packers.
Could be there
again.
too.
The Packers will be better because he's in the second year in the system. I think LaFleur
That
will be a better
was the worst
coach.
13-3 year I've ever seen. I mean, you never looked at them and said, "Wow, this team."
They
is
got
really
outgained,
good.
right? And their point differential wasn't that
But
big.
they never looked comfortable in the offense. I think part of the problem was they didn't have anybody who scared down the field.
That defense did
And
not.
the defense
did
is
not
little.
improve.
It's little.
Well, they play a lot of dime.
They
know
get pushed
that.
around, though.
It's not just that. It's the fact that they really didn't improve as the year went on. Early, they started off played great. As the year wore on, they started to give up some big plays. They started to give up, especially in the running game. That's what you're alluding to. They started to really struggle stopping the run. So I'm curious to see what adjustments Mike Pettin makes, because you felt like after some of the comments made after the season that maybe Matt LaFleur was looking at making a potential change there at the defensive coordinator spot, but at least he'll get this year.
Well, Zadarius Smith told us at the Pro Bowl, he said we were not ready to play, period. They traveled late to get out to the championship game. They didn't feel like they were ready to play. And how can you not be ready to play in a championship game? That's not a good look for Matt LaFleur and the Packers.
And I don't know what that means, whether it was the preparation leading up to it or, again, you said the late travel, whatever you want to chalk it up to. It's, to me, it's hard to understand that. From a mentality standpoint, you should have been ready to play. Maybe not being prepared, that's a different story. That's maybe on the coaching staff then.
How about the Patriots at number 7? I mean, halfway through the season, we were talking about that defense, maybe the best of all time because of the numbers that they were putting up, and they end up number 7 overall.
Yeah, they kind of faded, and I think the defense never played like it did early in the season. I think a lot of that had to do with the pressure that the offense was putting on them. They were put in some bad situations. The offense wasn't very good.
No.
They struggled to move the football, and when one side of the ball is bad, it usually trickles over and influences the other side of the ball, and I think that's exactly what happened. Hard to believe we'd be saying that about Tom Brady-led offense, though.
You take Tom Brady off this team, though, and where do they rank? I mean, are they even in the top half?
They win 4 games, maybe.
Well, and that's the thing is, if you look at the roster outside of Tom Brady, and they've got some work to do this offseason and in the draft, I'm not sure you put this team in the top half. And that's why, the looming free agency and the fact that Tom Brady could be moving on to another team, another franchise, it's concerning for Patriots fans because I don't know what their plan is after Tom Brady, and I'm not sure how competitive this team will be in 2020 if he's not there.
Andy Dalton. I've heard Belichick's always had.
But look, you
would
better
that
find some help though for Dalton. I don't care who it is.
Oh,
I
agree.
Find some
they got to
help.
find it. But they got a ton of draft picks, and I think they'll be able to do some things. Don't forget they gave a second-round pick for Mohamed Sanu. That was always that worked out well for him, by the way. Hey, he's a genius. Don't ever question him.
Patriots finished number 7 after winning the Super Bowl in 2018 season. Let's look at 11 through 20, Pete Prisco's final power rankings. And there you see the Tennessee Titans at 9-7. They were 1 win away from the Super Bowl.
But they're a classic case of the aberration team. You get hot. You
Well, not
play
the
good
regular
defense.
season. They were
You
9-7 last 4 years.
You get hot in the postseason. Your running back clicks. You play good defense. The ball goes your way. Next thing you know, you're within Jacksonville 2017. Same thing.
Yeah.
You're within a whisker of the Super Bowl. That's who they are.
It's a great comparison. I will say this though, that this Titans team has been dramatically, more consistent than that Jacksonville Jaguars team was. I mean,
That defense was better than this defense, though.
no, it's true it was, and it carried it more. But again, I think when you look at least the regular season, 4 straight years at 9-7, it shows you where this Titans team is at. It just took that special formula to make it work for this postseason. the question moving forward is Tannehill and Derrick Henry back? And then can they replicate what they did not only this past season, but in the postseason in particular? Because that was the magical run they got to in the AFC Championship game, something that we just didn't foresee happening. And I think you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone that believes they're going to be able to do it for a second year in a row.
Derrick Henry already says that Zeke Elliott's contract is the floor for his. Good luck with that.
They just grow on trees, don't they?
But not after they have 370 carries or plus, they
Pluck 'em
fall
right
off
off.
the ledge is what they do, the running backs.
Let's look at 20 through 30 here in the bottom of Pete Prisco's power rankings, where you'll find the Los Angeles Chargers. You had them way down with Phillip Rivers at number 24. I think.
Yeah, and they were a disappointment to me. 5-11, that's a better football team than that. They should have had a better record in a lot of games, by the way. They were close in a lot of games. Now without Phillip Rivers, hey, depending on who their quarterback is next year, they could start a little bit lower on the list.
Is Brinson still going to pick him to win it all, though?
Usually
well, no,
he does.
That'll be the team wherever Phillip Rivers goes. This roster is way better than you're giving them credit. And they were banged up this past season. Phillip Rivers didn't play great. Maybe Melvin Gordon holding out, maybe that played a little small factor into it. Bottom line is, I think if they find someone who can come in and play right away, either as a free agent, whether it's Tom Brady or a draft pick, that's a team that can kind of rebound and be closer to a 12-4 team than a 5-11 team like we saw from them. The other team in that division in the AFC West is Denver. Denver was, a 7-9 team? That's a team that I think they found their future quarterback in Drew Lock. They found their formula. The offensive line played better down the stretch for them. And with that defense, I really do think if you look at how many close losses that they had, especially to begin the season, they easily could have been a 10-6 team. That's a team that I think jumps up in 2020, ends up being a lot better than people realize.
And the Cardinals are another one. Keep an eye on the Cardinals. I think they're going to make a push forward in 2020.
Even in that division.
That's the problem is they could be better, but their record might be 7-9. We're not looking.
They're not going to be.
That's going to be tough to do with that division.
Yeah, I think they're going to be that much better. They played those teams tough this year. They really did. They made big strides. The Chargers aren't going to go 12-4 if Herbert is quarterbacking them.
Well, we don't necessarily know that. I do know this, though. They could be improved depending on what kind of lift he can go in there. But he has to be in the right system, too. That's the other thing, is I think Justin Herbert's a quarterback that's been in a system that hasn't necessarily played to his strengths during his time at Oregon, even as good as he's been.
Let's cut and clip this for later in the year if they get Herbert, because I'm saying it right now, there's no chance Justin Herbert starts at quarterback and the Chargers go 12-4.
I don't think they're going to go 12-4 either.
You said that. You said it could be with this.
Oh, they'll be closer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. They'll be more like 5-11 if he.
That's all she wrote. Pete Prisco's power rankings for 2019 season. Let's talk about 2020. Pete's power rankings will come out sometime in March after the free agency period begins. We got the combine coming up less than 2 weeks. We got the draft in about 2.5 months. Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.